World War II, the Allies had a real problem with their fighter planes and bombers making it back to base with their wings, their tail section, and their rudders completely shot to bits. So engineers got to work adding armor plating to these areas, but confusingly, it didn't improve the survival rate of the crews or their aircraft. But eventually, a mathematician named Abraham Wald took one look at the problem and realized that the engineers had come up with a solution based on data that they had interpreted backwards. Their solution was based on what they could see, bullet-riddled wings and tail sections. But Wald correctly deduced that the real armor plating issue was based on what the engineers couldn't see, in the body of the plane, in the planes that never made it back home. The planes that got shot up here were the ones that weren't making it back. But the engineers were focused on the wings, which were the most damaged parts of the airplanes that did manage to make it back home. And this famously is the foundation for what we all know as survivorship bias. Engineers had been influenced by the data from survivors, and they missed the data from the planes that had been shot down even though it was staring them right in the face. So Wald told the engineers to reinforce this section of the airplane, and you know what happened. They started making it back home. Now, interestingly, the same thing happens with content creators. Gurus and coaches tend to share tips on things that are easily observable. Things like hooks, visual elements, editing style, the promise of a payoff. And those things are important. You can't fly without them, but those are the wings and tail section of your content as a creator or a brand or a business. But it's the body of good content that most creators tend to ignore. And this body section of content is the most important, and it's comprised of good storytelling concepts, clear messaging, universally understood themes, and something that I call packaging, which is where you take a seemingly boring subject and wrap it up in a message that suddenly makes it really interesting. And I did that to you using this airplane analogy to teach you something about your content. Because the problem with most social media strategies is they're built on observable elements from content around the web that's worked. But that's only half the picture, because the real lesson in creating good media is by looking at the content. That missing ingredient lies in studying the hundreds of millions of posts that were never seen by more than 100 or 200 people. And the common theme within those is the packaging sucks. The message isn't clear. There are no storytelling elements within what's being said, and there's absolutely no narrative whatsoever to follow. Just think about it.